All right. Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. By the way, I totally got to get a new intro song. That thing's kind of played out. I got to. So if you just happen to be an insane musical talent and want me to use your unlicensed music, just hit me up, please. Let's do a favor for everybody. Um, but good morning. Good to have you here. Getting close towards Christmas time. So we wanted to have a special little Christmas gift. Truly a girl that keeps on giving. Um, I've had the pleasure to get to know Melissa over the last year. She's been one of our first affiliates down there in Florida. She came. She's on the dev team. Um, just a really really special woman. So we're going to dive into kind of her backstory, what she's doing now, what drives her, and hopefully we'll kind of get into some kind of tips and tricks that we can pass along to all you guys. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, the one and only Melissa Leavitt. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
You know,
Good to be here.
it's I'm good. I'm pumped. It's about 5 degrees outside here in Ohio.
No,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. I bet you don't have the same problem
We're
down in
actually
Florida.
it's cold here. It's like 65.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's like you got like hooded parkas on outside in the 65.
Yeah, gym this morning, definitely a hood, full jacket for me.
When are you just
Sorry.
gonna pony up and buy a sauna, by the way? I
I
I'm
know, I know, I know my sauna
I'm following along
excursions.
the sauna journey and
I
it-
mean, it gives me an appreciation for my bubble. I keep telling everyone's like, "Well, you just need to get one and put it in the gym." I'm like, "Absolutely not. Like, I'm not having these same problems with these people that I actually love and care about. Like, I'll have them at the Y."
um yeah, I'm gonna do an unsolicited sauna plug here.
Okay.
I met a very cool dude in the UK whenever I was there for 4th of July. Shout out to Harry from Porta Sauna. And so his whole thing is he has these like portable saunas. It's got this special material, pops up like a tent. You get the little wood burning stove. And he's like, hey, whenever I figure out US distribution, I'm gonna get you one. And I'll be damned if that some bitch didn't send me one. And it was the best thing. I just like goes right in my side yard. And it gets hot. I'm shocked
Yeah.
how hot it gets. And so we're finalizing. So he has US distribution. I think they're sold out of their initial run, but they are going to hook MetFix affiliates up with a special discount. So you can, if you're like me, I just put it to my house. So I'm not letting any of my members use it whatsoever. It's solely for me. But
Yeah.
there's no old lady next to me like invading my personal space.
I mean, stark buck naked in there and with another person, by the way. And these are like max two people saunas. Now, I've been in there with two others before. It's just a whole experience, but when she started to slather something onto her body, I was like, "What could that even possibly be? Like, what's
So
happening?"
like straight up no towel policy. Like she's just running in there stark naked.
They have a sign that says, "Please, no excessive nudity," but, like, we're talking, like so I live in Ormond Beach, and we are like a retirement kind of place, like and so this YMCA is literally at our 800-meter turnaround from our gym, so it's close, and they've just put a ton of money into redoing the thing. It's got this really beautiful locker room, it's got a great pool, um, and these two little saunas, Paulina, I know it's terrible. Um, and there's so many little old ladies. I mean, that place is packed all the time. And they just have a different vibe about nudity. Like,
Oh,
if I walk into that gym in a sports bra, I mean, they're like clutching. But you go into that sauna and it's a whole other thing. I don't know. I don't
I
really get it, but it is a little entertaining. I agree, Paulina, but like I'm
this
not there to be entertained.
this harks me back. So my first foray into the fitness industry. 1999, 2000. I was working the front desk at a gym, and the old man vibe energy inside of a locker room is just I hope everybody gets to witness it a couple times. I mean, it's not only that they're just naked, it's like hands on hips, like hip cock to the side, full on. We'll have a 30-minute conversation with you, just flapping in the wind. So
I
I
know.
can
You
see how
listen,
that.
Baker goes to the local Gold's Gym, and it's the same but different. Like the stories that come out of a public sauna in the United States anyway. Um, just it's a thing.
Hey
It
man, you
is.
know
It's a
what?
thing.
Like, I love it. I'm here for it. God bless them. They're getting after it. They don't give a shit.
Oh,
Um, but it is like an interesting. I'll try to bring this back to an actual some sort of a lesson here. Um, if you've been like stuck in your own CrossFit MetFix gym bubble and you've never gone to a Globo gym in a couple years, you need to go. You just
yes.
need to go as just a reminder that
Yes.
not everything is your perfect little world, and you just need to go. It's like a cross-cultural experience.
I fully agree. And with respect to that, like, again, this is a retirement type of place. And most of the people that I see at the YMCA right up the road are 60 or older. And I love seeing them in that gym. But I
Yeah.
also kind of go back to like my first days of CrossFit where you get your eyes open to functional movements and true athleticism. And you go, just come down the street and just let me talk to you for a few minutes. Like what's going on in here? Like some of the funniest things you'll see in a Globo gym, like just complete misuse of
Oh.
any movement pattern, just anything. Like it's just crazy in there. But
And
it's
like
just a good time.
it's such an opposite, I don't want to say antithesis, but uh like everyone goes to the Globo gym, headphones immediately go on, and it's almost like no eye contact with any, like there's no communal.
There's a lot of eye contact with oneself in the mirror. And that to me sometimes blows my mind because I love a dumbbell. And I love a good set of dumbbells, which this YMCA happens to have, but I have a really hard time staring at myself in a mirror while trying to do some stuff. Now I can see it. I mean, things help, but like, yeah, the mirror thing. Just there's a lot of things about an old school gym, like a Globo gym, that never made sense. And
Yep.
that's pretty much why I am where I am doing what I'm doing. Like when I walked into my first CrossFit affiliate back in 2009, I guess it was, maybe it's 2008. I was like, oh, this is what I need. Like, this is how you get in shape. Like, it smells bad in here. It's dirty in here. There are no mirrors, but there's a lot of fun toys in here. Like, this is the kind of thing that I like.
So what led you to that initially walking into that first gym back in 08, 09?
Well, so I had an infant. Um, I think he was one. My son was like 1 year old, and I was doing my damnedest to try to like lose the 60 pounds that I put on when I was pregnant. By the way, none of that was like baby weight. Like they, you know, how they say, like, you'll give birth and you'll lose 30 pounds. No, I gained more. Like, absolutely insane. Like, went from being a pretty athletic person to like needing to figure out how to lose weight and a lot of it. So I was just kind of looking around and I always kind of needed like some reason to be doing these things, like
Right.
going to a Globo gym and sitting on a machine or on a treadmill just wasn't my thing. So it happened to be looking for like a triathlon to join. Like I was like, let me look for a sprint triathlon. And there was a website called, what was it called? Eventbrite or something like that. You
Oh
could
yeah,
like
yeah.
search local events. And they had this thing on there called the 300 challenge. I don't know
Oh
if you
yeah.
remember that movie 300, how
Oh
they
yeah.
had, I guess it was Mark Twight workout,
It was, yeah.
right?
So Jim Jones, Mark Twight. Yep.
Yeah. So they had that workout where it was like, I mean, at this point, it would be nothing, but to me, it was like, oh my gosh, can girls actually do this? Like, 25 pull-ups and,
Yep.
a bunch of deadlifts. And that it was called the 300 Challenge, and it was at a place called CrossFit Evolution, which was in Orlando. And I had kind of seen the CrossFit like main site
Yep.
and was like honestly remember looking on the website at the video trying to figure out how to do an air squat. Like that's where I was.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
signed up for this competition, and that was the first time I ever walked into a CrossFit gym.
Wow.
And that was about an hour from where I live. And then the other place that was open was CrossFit Jax in an hour north of me. So the only two CrossFit affiliates that I was aware of at the time in Florida were Jax and Orlando. Um, and I was kind of in between the two. And I think it was like very shortly after that event where it was myself and a friend of mine who we trained out of like a Gold's Gym. We're trying to like figure out how we could teach people to do this, but inside of a Gold's Gym, which back in the day, that's how you started, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
quickly kicked out of there and
Yep.
found our first spot. So
Yep.
that's how it went. Just looking for something to do to lose weight. Happened to
Well,
find
you know,
that. So,
that is a yeah. I've heard that story, the 300 story, a couple times.
oh yeah,
That was a big thing. Like that when that movie came out, it was like how did all the actors get shredded and ripped? And
yeah.
if you followed anything online, it was the 300 workout, which is I've met Mark Twight a couple times and been out to Utah. I actually did the Jim Jones seminar back in 12 or something. Um,
It was so cool. That was like just such cool stuff,
it was. It
Like,
was. And
yeah,
just that whole, like, era, like, it was a
yeah,
different like, it's almost like you had to have the secret handshake to kinda to get in where
yeah.
you needed to go, for sure.
Yeah. I was listening to, I think it was a podcast yesterday talking about how it was like a fight club kind of thing.
Yep,
Yeah, I guess it was Savon's podcast yesterday. They were talking about this, the sale and whatever, and how that was just such a cool time where you'd get on an airplane and you'd see somebody else wearing a CrossFit shirt and you immediately like kind of knew like, oh yeah, like they know too, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And of course now with MetFix, like I think that to myself now. And yesterday I got the Christmas card and I was
Yeah,
like, oh man, like do you remember how cool the CrossFit Christmas
yep,
cards used to be? Like just how good, and the CrossFit Hopper Deck cards and just, like it just brings me back to that
yep,
time. It was something that I feel like was really missing up until like the last 2 years for me.
yep.
Because I
Um,
think that I've been doing this now for almost 20 years. So my son was an infant then, and now he's 19, and has moved on, like going to college and stuff, weightlifted through high school,
I was
and
gonna say, like, I was doing some, stalking, AKA research, and he's a
yeah,
stud. Like,
he's
he
cool, isn't
moves
he?
well. He moves and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you could tell somebody's mom was a gym owner, and,
Oh,
yeah,
it's funny because when he showed up at high school, the school that he went to here in Florida is like notorious for the sport of weightlifting, which is kind of unusual for any school.
yeah.
Um, And he went in there on like the first day and was confused by the fact that kids didn't know how to snatch. And I was like, yeah, dude, like not everybody grew up doing their homework on a weightlifting platform and being pissed they had to be there. Like,
Yep.
so I never really pushed him to do CrossFit. It was one of those things. He did like Pop Warner football and tried out all the sports. And then when he'd be with me at the gym, I would tell him like, if you're not doing something physical 3 days a week, then sorry, you're just stuck with CrossFit.
Yeah.
And so there were times where he was really into it and times where he was like over it. But in the end, he shows up at high school and realizes he's got this set of skills that's kind of cool. And luckily, they were just such a cool group of kids that he ended up like, I mean, they'd be listening to like Metallica or something, like doing heavy front squats, like pumping each other up. And I was just like, finally.
My boy found a
So
home. Yeah.
yeah, he like finally embraced it and
Oh.
ended up going to, I think he went to state the last year, and now that he's in college, he's big into bouldering.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so I'm hoping eventually he'll come full circle and be like, maybe I could do some actual CrossFit now that I can muscle up with one arm on a wall.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like he has a unique, weightlifting background from being a teenager to like that high level gymnastic bouldering. Like that's yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty
he's
cool.
he's designed for it. Okay, so how long, you go into that you're splitting time between those two gyms. And then from there you're just like, screw it, man. I'm all in. I'm gonna open up
Yeah, like I said, I had a friend that we were doing it together, and he had a client who had like owned a industrial building, and one of his bays was empty. He was like, dude, you guys got to do this. Like, I'll give you the space. And so he basically gifted us for our first year or so, like a space to try to do something with it. And I remember sitting down with him. It's just like, yeah, we'll figure it out later. Just get started. And so he and I started our first CrossFit affiliate. It was called CrossFit Daytona. And then later, like, I don't think we realized, like, oh, we're starting a business. Like, we were just like, oh no, we're starting a fun place to do workouts and learn CrossFit. And you're so into that, you realize like business partnership is
oh,
like
yeah.
marriage.
Yeah. Yep.
And then not only that, but like I was young in a very early relationship with a small child, trying to figure out like all that.
Yeah.
So that partnership split up, and then that's when I went out on my own with it. I ended up in my garage at home, sitting on the floor underneath my set of rings, going, can I do this alone? Like, is this really what I wanted? Or,
Right.
walking to the gym was one thing, but, being at home in your garage is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
And then my mom came over, and my mom was like, I've been hiding this money in my sock. Take this money. And by this time, I didn't know this, but she had early onset Alzheimer's.
Uh-huh.
And she was just like, we'll do it here in the garage. Buy yourself some equipment and just get started. So that was my second person that was just like, you just got to do it. So it was like she and I, and had like two or three other people that kind of came with me from the other gym. And they would come over in the afternoons and park out in my driveway, and had this like garage set up where we had like one bay for like two bars and a rower and
Yeah.
a stack of weights. And we'd be running down the road. And before long, my neighbors were like, you can't do that here. Like, what are you doing? And so then that's when I like kind of just gave up and was like, this is what I want. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
have to go out on my own and do it on my own. And that was like 2011 by that point, and I affiliated my own affiliate. And then that was about when the things started to just blow up. And it wasn't like, it went from me telling people, like asking, like, what is CrossFit, to I know what CrossFit is. I'm here to do CrossFit. Like,
Right.
and I
Okay.
could not keep up. Like, so many people wanted to do it. I always wanted to do it right. So it was like,
Right.
I need more help. And so I grew a little bit of a team. And next thing you know, we're spilling out of the doors of this place. It was like 1,000 square feet. And we're like in the parking lot, half in the parking lot, half in the building. Like, we need a bigger spot. And so we decided to move, and we got like a huge spot, like 7,500 square feet.
Damn.
And yeah, and that place was busy for a long time, like just constant new people. Like, and it kind of got to a point where, at some point, where I was doing less coaching and more businessing.
Yep. Yep.
And I really don't love that. I still didn't really love that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I like being on that floor teaching that new person what is
Uh-huh.
CrossFit, or, what's fitness. And so anyway, that's kind of how it went. And now here we are. I think we're 16 years into our 16th year of affiliation at that location, at that place.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's
I'm
been fun.
sure. Yeah. 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 So, what's it like, kind of like navigating, full-time mom, full-time business owner? Like walk us kind of through that journey.
I mean, I don't know. It all went really fast. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Like last year I looked up, and he's on his way out. And I'm like, wait, what am I gonna do now? Like, what do I do now? So, It's kind of funny because exactly when MetFix kind of showed up, I was pretty much ready for like to put myself into something new or to
Yeah.
like move forward a little bit. And a lot of
Yeah.
times I was thinking, oh, how all this time? Maybe I could do some personals. Like I've never been able to do that, you know?
Hmm.
Um, and nutrition was always something I wanted to better incorporate in the gym. But I feel like that's always been the hardest part, whether it's just at home with your child, like trying to get your child to eat right, trying to get them to exercise, like the personal relationships, the people that I had like the closest relationships with were where I felt like I was spending most of my time. And then the gym was just kind of like an overflow of that. It's like whatever I can do to motivate these really close people, my parents, my child, significant others, whatever. I need to take those things that I learn and do that same thing within the community at the gym.
Mm.
I don't think that I have my ex-husband's really great, so I had a second parent, like co-parenting was pretty easy.
Mhm.
Um, I think I'm building that team really early on, that team of people. I have 13 people on our team,
Wow.
and most of them have been with me the whole time.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, they love it as much as I love it. Like
Uh,
that place would not be anywhere. We would not be still running if it weren't for those people. Um, yeah, so I think the team and then just keeping the relationships right is how that worked.
yeah. Yeah.
It's the
Did
only
you,
way.
of those 13, are any of them full time, or are they all just kind of a mix of part time?
No, most of them are part-time.
Okay.
I mean, we have like so the I would say there's a couple that are there more often than the rest, and the way that
Hmm.
they were able to kind of make this make sense for a living was through personals.
Sure.
So, like for instance, my coach Maggie, she's been with me this whole time since the old gym. Um, she does a lot of personals, and it's super valuable. Like she has such an impact on those people that only want to do personal things. And then she'll coach a couple classes. I've got one who travels the world, and when he's here coaching. He has visited CrossFits all over the world, all over the US. He drives a truck or is in the transportation
Oh,
business.
that's cool.
Yeah. Um, I've got a couple firefighters,
Mm.
right? Yeah, everybody else, they all have like real jobs. I'm the only one who never held a real job.
God, you're so lucky.
I know.
You're
So
so lucky.
lucky.
So I want to, you mentioned something, you find in MetFix, and what I've discovered, including myself and with others, this common theme of been in the game a long time. Uh, I don't want to say like the passion kind of fades. It's always there. Like that ember is always burning. But you kind of like get to the, I'm just making arbitrary numbers. Like you get to the 7 year, maybe 9 year, and you're like, what's next?
Yeah.
Is this like, is it going to be thrusters and pull-ups for the rest of my life, or is there going to be like a new thing? Am I going to be able to learn something new that um, I can layer on top of this? Can you kind of give your personal story from that?
For sure. So I always loved learning, like going to an L1. At my first L1, it was like Nicole Carroll was teaching nutrition. And like sometimes you just hear it from the right people. And I feel like CrossFit, especially in the beginning, did like the best job of having that team just really be at the top of their game. And so when I would go, I went to L1, and then as soon as L2 was available, it was L2. And then I remember taking L3 pretty early on, and L3 requires you to have some continuing ed. So all those like special classes that they had, weightlifting, kettlebell, gymnastics, one of my favorite ones they ever did. I went to all of those. And I think it took a while before I got to the point where I was just like cruising the site, looking for what my next CEUs were going to be and being like, I don't see anything. Like I don't
Yeah.
see anything, and I just haven't seen anything that has really like blown my hair back in a while. And nutrition was always one I was like searching for. I was like, I need so much help with this. But I think by the time I got to that point, it's like all those nutrition companies that do CEUs and do help these affiliates to make it part of their business. It's just there was just something about it that just never really worked. It's not for lack of trying. And I would take any nutrition course that came, and I don't know what it was about MetFix, but when I saw it, I think part of it was having Greg's name attached to it. It was
Yeah.
like he just makes things make sense. Like
Yeah.
he just
Yeah.
takes something so like big and makes it so easy. And I was like, if he can do that with nutrition, I'm gonna lose it. Like so great. Right. And that's exactly what I felt like happened. I felt like as soon as I went to that first foundations course, and I was like, I hadn't felt that same like, oh my gosh, this is the key. This is the thing I was looking for until I went to that foundations.
Yeah.
Um, especially because I really feel at home in the science of things. And I
Hmm.
felt like CrossFit was the science of fitness. Um, and then I feel like MetFix very much pulled that in together and kind of said, also, just so you know, this is the science of nutrition
Yeah.
and which is the science of fitness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it just
Right.
made so much sense. And I just feel like now there's this big open space where I can now direct some focus to learn some stuff because truly only like opening the book when you come to the foundations course, you're
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, really? Right. So yeah, and then I'm really excited for whatever's coming as far as education part for MetFix. I just finished that diabetes course, which was really great. I just like the way that the information is presented, very much like whenever you would go to the CrossFit L1, like if I sent one of my members that had any desire to go, I was like, please go in person and also make sure it's at CrossFit Jacks or make sure Chris is on the team. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like just certain people really can send you that kind of information and hit you right. Chris being on that team, Megan being on that team
Hmm.
was part of it for me. Pete, like new to me, but like really helps me to understand stuff. And it's just, I mean, it's something that we need so badly. And I think that you can learn it, but then it's a matter of like you get on the floor and you actually do it.
Right.
And it's like,
Right.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So
So,
that's where we are now.
by you being one of the first 100, you've obviously had the longest experience. And, I agree with everything that you're saying about the team and the foundations. And then it's always an issue of the implementation of the education afterwards. And, candidly, like I try to make it very clear with all the first 100 that, hey, we're in this together. I don't have the golden answer for you on how you're going to do this. Here's what I'm experimenting with. Here's the lessons learned from everybody. And I know we have Spark coming up. We can talk about that later. But what are some of the things that you've done at your place after the foundations course in um, interjecting the layered MetFix approach on top of your existing gym operation?
So I started before I was an affiliate, believe it or not. I was like, first of all, why am I not a first? I was a little perturbed about that. I was like, I definitely should be. Um, but so it kind of was a good thing for me because it really got me to like push. It was like, no, like if you're not accepted as an affiliate, but what would you do if you were? Just do that.
Yeah.
So I just started kind of that year. I started, I think it was like close to January. I'm like, I'm just gonna do some stuff like with what I know. And I was like, pretty much the whole time I've been doing CrossFit, I took lessons that I learned in my own training or through CrossFit and I applied it to life. So I'm like, okay, number one, scale down. Number two, start where you are, like those things. Start with who you have. Like, I don't need to go find new members. I've got so many members right now that I could teach this stuff to and try
Mhm.
this stuff with. So we started with just fun events. I feel like that's my best way in this place. Like we hang out together. We're a bunch of friends. We've been together a long time,
Yep.
and we all do kind of the same things. So it was like we all need to make some changes. And how do I get them to understand this? And how do I get it to be fun? So like one of the first things we did was it was called, what did we call it? Oh, grow your own. And so I brought like little portable pots and some soil and some like veggies and some seedlings and shit like that. And people brought their kids, and it was my way of starting to teach them about what is food. So if you've been to the foundations course, first thing is like, hey, it's things that grow with the sun or animals, plants, right?
Mhm.
So we'll start with plants. So we did that, and it was like this hands-on way. And then there's these things that they take home with them and try to nurture for like a little bit of time, right? So they're kind of learning about growing their own food, and they have this sense of accomplishment after a few months when things are actually producing. And then a couple of months later, we did our first what's called a meetup, like meet up, and we brought some girls to the gym. Um, Typically, when there's a party at the gym, there's alcohol and cookies for the kids and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. We're like, hey, let's focus on this way of eating. So meats, vegetables, nuts, seeds, some starch, little fruit, all that stuff. So they're like, wait, no, like no cookies? Like, no, not this time. We're just gonna eat meat. Like it'll be fun, you'll see. Right. So we just fired up grills. People brought in like pieces of meat to throw on there quick, and we grilled together and
That's
basically
awesome.
sat around just eating chunks of meat. Like so fun. But it was like this opening for me to be like, instead of like just sit there and tell them with science, like what is MetFix?
Right.
It was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
here's what we're doing, and it's called MetFix.
Yeah.
And not only that, but we had, including on my team, like we are a bunch of diehard CrossFitters. Like we love CrossFit. And so at first, like there are definitely some people on the team who are like, wait, we're not like
Right.
switching this up, right? Like we're not changing everything and we're no longer CrossFit, right? And I'm like, no. At least not yet. Like we're just gonna check this out,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
just gonna do my best to make this like really like fun. So that's kind of how it started. And then once I went to the foundations course, then I had like I said, just like a huge arsenal of things that I was ready to teach or learn how to teach. And just very quickly after that, I realized that I needed a class. Um,
Hold before you go any further, you might want to go ahead and trademark meet up real quick. So it's not kind of
yeah,
sounds
on
like
the meetup. It's really good.
yeah.
Yeah, just calling it that, like they understand like it's not just a grill party, like because we'd done that plenty of times. Like we at one point, we had my coach Maggie and I, we came up with this idea. We had this local chef who was also a member, and we're like, we could totally do a meal prep thing, and we'll just do it like CrossFit style. Like we'll call it Chef RX, which was also a really great name for a meal prep company. And we did that for a few years. We had like a brick and mortar, and
Oh wow.
yeah, like we're like we could just hand people the food we want them to eat, then the macronutrients,
Breakdown.
that
Yeah.
we want. Like here's your food. This is, but that was just, listen, there's not a harder business
Oh,
in the world that I'm aware of than the food industry. But I learned so much in doing that. Listen, just absolutely insane. But we really obviously cared about it, and like grilling was nothing new to our gym. Like
yeah.
that's what we do. But calling it the meetup, that was really like a good way to get people to
Right.
understand, like, yeah, this isn't just any grill out, but also this is what's fun about it. It's not the cookies, it's not the beers, like truly like just cooking together, being together, meeting up. This is what's fun. So,
What I really, really love about that is it's you're not only providing the education, but you're developing the community along with it. Like you're utilizing that third space kind of philosophy, and the education is important, but it's always like a chicken egg kind of thing. Do you lead with the education, or do you lead with the event and then on the back end of it sprinkle the education into it? So I really love that aspect of the meetup.
yeah, exactly. And because the community part of it is really what matters.
Yeah.
We're a really small community within our community right now. Um, and it's kind of funny because I think my class, so I started a class finally. It took me about a year to get everything together to decide like where's this going to fit in.
Right.
The exercise, like we talk about this a lot in this group, like we've got the exercise down. Like I could walk in half asleep and coach a class
Yep.
and probably do a pretty good job, especially
Yep.
to my own people who I'm very familiar with.
Yep.
Um, and I could probably tell you so much about their life that I could make some assumptions on probably what their diet is like and what they're doing at home for recovery.
Mhm.
But there's this one thing that we add. So trying to build it into, we have the one class, but then this was something I'm doing for everybody. For this, I feel like something I owe them, right? I've been doing this with you guys for so long, but this one key piece that really will make a difference.
Mhm.
How do I get you to understand that part without throwing it down your throat? So, and I really have to hold my thought back because I just want to beat him over the head with it. But we do this little whiteboard that goes right in front of the TV that has our gym programming on it.
Yep. Yep.
It says MetFix Ormond question of the week. And the only thing I ask my coaches to do, because they don't have the same training yet and they may not
Yeah.
feel comfortable
Yep.
yet talking about nutrition, I said, just ask this question during the warm up, grab somebody that's closest to you during a downtime and just ask them this question and let them answer. And one thing I find is that they cannot wait to talk about anything. Like just ask them anything and they're like excited to talk about it. There are some questions that are harder than others, but the first question that I remember asking that made a huge impact was, who do you feed or who feeds you? And it
Mhm.
was funny because a lot of the questions did not even come from like a food perspective. But then a lot of the information that I got from that was a lot of the men, especially, don't cook for themselves. They don't feed themselves,
Yeah.
right? And then if you think about that with the children, they're not feeding themselves. Like that's a parent.
Yeah.
And then you've got this one person who usually feeds 10 other people in their life. So they can make a huge impact on 10 other people, having never been inside the gym. And I was like, this is the way, right? So that's when we started having whiteboards. And I would say the people that feed you or you people that you feed, bring them. Bring them so that we can start to talk about this kind of stuff together. And instead of me standing at a whiteboard and teaching science, because nobody really cares about that, to be
Yeah. Yeah.
completely
Yeah. For
honest with
sure.
you, half the time they do not
No.
care, it turns into a discussion. So that kind of led me into almost all of these whiteboards started with a question that everybody goes around and gets a chance to answer. And then it just goes where it goes, right? So if you've got someone who is having a hard time because they can feed themselves in a good way, but the husband or the kid just decides that's not for them. And so when you go to do a kitchen audit, you can't throw away certain foods in your house because your people you're feeding won't allow you to.
Yeah. The
That's
riot.
a whole nother question. That has nothing to do with science and everything to do with community, right?
Yeah.
So
Melissa,
that's kind
that's
of the way it started.
fucking great. I love that. Like, who do you feed or who's feeding you? I think that's even a way to like market the Spark course. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So I've started the Spark course. I haven't looked at the final product yet, but I was really lucky on the dev team to be able to kind of preview it. And so I'd taken some of that information and it started basically, I got that at the same week or so that I started my class.
yeah.
And so I just kind of used it as like a little test, right? And so
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to use the actual Spark for like the new year. I'm hoping that people that oh yeah, CF trucker, there he is. That's Sean. Hi, Sean. Um, yeah, so I'm getting ready to hopefully use that Spark as a framework for the new
Right.
year. So
Um, Going back to the question of the week, is it just up to your coaches? Do they pick a certain day they ask that, or they just kind of reinforce it every day, or how does that work?
I leave it up all week. Our schedule gets made every week, and so it's pretty all over the place.
Yeah.
We have certain coaches that are typically 8 or 9 o'clock and typical evening
Yeah.
class people. And I don't, I just let them do it their way. I
Okay.
think that just like with coaching, like you'll have a coach that will tell you something, you're like, what the fuck? What? And then you'll have a coach tell you something, you're like, I get it. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then there's people that just kind of will tell one coach something they would never tell another coach. You know what I mean? So I let them use their strengths. So like, I don't know, maybe I can get through to one member really well, and I
Right.
always ask her that question because she happens to be standing right next to me. And then sometimes I'll like go way out of my way to ask somebody I haven't had a chance to talk to about it, right? And I think it's still kind of catching on with the coaches, but I just let them do it their way. And it's my way of getting them to, without them even knowing it, like they're starting to have nutrition discussions with people. And listen, if you've been doing CrossFit for a long time, you've had some run in with nutrition. It may not be anywhere near as deep as what you're seeing in MetFix, but even if you, so for instance, we've been around so long, like paleo, we talked about this. I think I talked with Sean about this. When we did paleo, I think that was the last time that our gym as a community really had some cohesive stuff going on, some
Yeah.
really easy to understand ways to eat. And we used to have like little cookouts where we do like a paleo potluck or whatever like that. And that worked, you know? So I think that this is just the beginning of that coming back around.
Yep.
Yeah. So I just kind of let them do it their way and gather that information from them. And they'll usually come right to me, you know, and not only that, but like this new class that I started, I was like, okay, which of you guys are down for like a special populations type of class, right? Because I've got I guess he's in his 70s with cognitive decline. And then I've got someone who's almost 80, right? Um, and then I have just a couple who have done CrossFit in the past, but kind of overdo it. So they needed like a little bit of a scale back. I mean, it's a really weird class, but like it's
So
definitely special pop.
and I want to dig into it, but we started that as well, and it kind of, what we wanted was like, what do we call this? Is this? I mean, it's an old person's class, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about. And then like, well, what do we say? Is this a legends class? And then we're like, oh, it's a legends class. And then I sat and I thought, and I'm like, the people we're marketing to have no idea what a legend is. So it's like, let's not call it that. But anyways, yeah. So we started with a target demographic. And then kind of what happened was we had a couple people coming back from surgery of whatever. And then they kind of use that. They're like, hey, I'm just kind of coming back. Can I do this class? I'm not, I might be 52. I'm not 60. And I'm like, yeah, of course. So it's
Little
kind of
do they know,
interesting to
everybody
see.
says that when they sign up.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see where it goes from there, but just by creating that class in that space, you never know what's going to shake out.
Yeah, you know, we've talked about a lot, like, what do we call those classes and how do we find a demographic for it? But my thing is like I said, I live in a place where a lot of the demographic just in the city, there are a lot of retirees. There's not a lot of young people, especially in like the little section where I am. And so I would say a majority of the people at my gym would be master's level, right? And if we're
Yeah.
calling that 35 and up after in CrossFit world, you know. But this class definitely like I think that because they thought it would be like legends or grandmasters or whatever, like they were thinking advanced age, that they were a lot of the people who spread the word about it because we didn't do much advertising or anything. We did
Sure.
it the same way we always do. People who you think need CrossFit, but don't call it CrossFit, you know, call it MetFix or whatever. We call our class Daily Fix, right? So it's your daily fix of nutrition and exercise that you need. And it's CrossFit-esque, but we're gonna take the technicality way down and we're
Yep.
gonna focus a little bit differently. It's not gonna be nearly as fast paced, so just about anybody could do it, right? Unfortunately, it is kind of seeming like because, and I'm not upset about it at all, but because our advanced age people are kind of sticking harder than the others, it does look like a master's level class.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just gonna go with it. And like whoever shows
Yeah.
up and wants to be helped, that's the person I'm gonna be able to help. Um, and
Love
I'm
that.
loving it. I love it.
I love it.
Yesterday's class was pretty varied. I had all ages, all levels. It was good.
And are you the primary coach for that class?
I'm the primary coach, but I have two others that have accepted the challenge and absolutely love coaching it.
And
So I'm
is it
so lucky for that.
obviously probably Monday through Friday, or is it walk me through is it every day or?
I got a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I
Okay,
just
perfect.
picked like a time of day that was like one of my less frequented classes, and I took
Yep.
it away. I was like, "Sorry, guys. If you want though, you can totally come. You'll love it. I swear it's gonna be great." Um, and it didn't really change much, you know, except it got bigger.
Yeah.
So that was good.
That's fantastic. And is that do you treat that as like a separate program, or is that included in your membership, or how's that work?
Both. So the people that have like a normal membership, they can check into that class with whatever membership they have. So if they're an unlimited member and they want to show up to that class and they want to take their regular workout, they can stay for 5:30, like whatever they want
Yeah.
to do. But the people who are only frequenting that class, I made it a punch card based. So,
Okay.
and I made it when someone joins the gym, never having any CrossFit experience, they have to go through an on ramp.
Hmm.
3 one-on-one sessions, a month of intensive stuff. I took that away, took the barrier to entry away.
Yeah.
Made it a punch card. So, if they don't have a huge commitment and they don't have a huge like output getting in. They walk in the door, their first one can be free, they can try it. And my whole goal is like to show them you can do this and I can handle you. Like
Yeah.
whatever you got going on, because that's how it is. That's how it is, at CrossFit. It just takes a
Hmm.
little bit more because you don't want to throw somebody into like a snatch day having never
Yeah.
known what it was. And
Yeah.
let me tell you, we're doing snatches. We just don't call it that, right? Like you're going to put this over your head in one swift movement, and that's what that is. It's ground
Yeah.
overhead, right? Like
I
just,
love that.
you just kind of it's already stuff that we know. It's already stuff that we've been doing all this time. And it just seems like this environment and this community is down to do it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. I love that. I love that. What kind of walk me through your that the framework of that class are we, do you take time to kind of go over a nutritional topic, or is it all primarily movement based, or can you walk me through that?
Yeah, so the class programming, we take basically the way I'm doing it now, and I'm the world's worst programmer. It's like my least favorite job. Just so lucky that that's something you can just pay for these days. But we will just kind of alter either the MetFix programming from the Daily Fix
Uh-huh.
or our typical programming, and I just kind of make it super simple. And
Yep.
just program it normal. Um, I was trying out there's some handouts and stuff, right, from the Spark that we kind
Yep.
of were looking at. So that's kind of where we started. There was that whole awareness section. So we're still pretty early in it. Um, but what I did is I started with that awareness handout and I had maybe 2 people actually try it, but most people came back going, "Mm, nah, not throwing anything away. No, no kitchen audit for me. Actually, I don't even cook." So, you know what I mean? So I'm at like this place where I'm trying to figure out what the most effective way to do it all is. And I
Gotcha.
think that I'll get a really good idea and like a really good first shot at that in January when I try to
Yeah.
involve not just my class, but the entire gym. But in the class, it's mostly movement based. But again, we start with that question of the week and we don't just ask it randomly, like it's part of it. It's
Gotcha.
like,
It's
hey, don't
purposeful.
forget, either before or after, we're going to stop and talk for a while.
Gotcha.
So it's still developing pretty
Yeah, for
strongly. I'm
sure. For
still
sure.
figuring it all out. There's
Right.
so much resistance to proper nutrition. There's just so much.
Yep.
Even with all the tools, there's going to be some resistance there, and I'm aware of that. So I'm
Yep.
just doing what I
And
can.
that, that's a great point, because, we can discuss conversion or all that stuff, but they're never going to do it if you don't make an effort for them to do it. And so I think a
Mhm.
lot of people, this is kind of myself for a long period of time, was just wave the white flag of like, I'm not even going to bring this stuff up.
Yeah.
Let's just do the fun stuff, and we'll, 3, 2, 1, go. Right. So
Right.
obviously offering a great experience, good environment, great coaching, all that stuff. Um, but that has a shelf life on it too.
Yeah.
Um, they,
Yeah. And like I said, we're a bunch of masters, and I think that sadly, sometimes it really takes something big happening to make a change,
yeah,
right? Something big usually has happened for them to start CrossFit. And I
yep,
think sometimes it can get really easy to be like, man, I'm good. Like, look how fit I am.
yep,
Right. And then that really sad day happens where this really fit person is actually really sick. And sometimes that's the day that they figure out, oh, I actually have to pay attention to that base of the triangle. I really
yeah.
actually do.
Yeah, and,
Um,
like, and you're right, like, that I'm the same age demo as you, and I'd say everybody kind of in and our cohort is around that because we all roughly started around the same time. And if you've run a good business, your members and customers, clients stay with you for that, and their goals and aspirations change.
Yeah.
And you need to be the one, as you were 10, 15 years ago, leading them in this whole new arena. Now you have a responsibility to continue to do that.
Yeah.
And that's where what Greg and Emily created through MetFix, and that's our job, is to kind of help usher that in through the tools, education, tips, and like the community support to do that. But you have to be the one brave enough to be the leader within your community to offer it.
For sure. I'm so grateful that that's something that, after all that's gone down, that Greg was open to continuing. And then for Emily for being like, yeah, we got it. Like, how great are they? I'm really grateful for the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's becoming a really great thing.
And I think now, like, as we, through the foundations and through the Spark course and kind of seeing the results that's happened, like, it's getting more and more crystallized of the offering and what it is and what MetFix is, and like, not only, the guy's telling Emily yesterday, it's like, we don't have to tell you anymore. We can now show you.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think that's going to be incredibly powerful, especially as we go into January, like with folks like you leading the way, and it's trial and error, right? So
Yep.
there's no right way, there's no wrong way. There is a wrong way. The wrong way is if you're not doing something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And I mean, you asked me like like what was the next thing? Like how long were you waiting for the next thing? And I feel like it's been a long time.
Yep.
I feel like, you know, I knew I was going to keep doing this. And, probably 2019 was probably like the first time where I was like, what's going to happen here? How long can we really keep this going? And I was like, you know what? If CrossFit itself were to completely go away, which is a very real possibility, I would still
Very
be
topical
here
discussion. Yeah.
with these same people doing the same shit.
Yeah.
And but not only that, but I have so much room to do even better. And I always knew it was the base of the triangle stuff. I always knew nutrition was the place where, because I don't think I saw any transformations in that gym like I did when the people understood the nutrition as well. Understood that there had to be some difference in lifestyle other than just exercise and functional movements in order to be different. And when
For
they
sure.
catch on like that, when those two things come together, and for me, it was Nicole Carroll standing up there saying, I mean, looking the way she did. And I think someone said brick shit house. And I was like, yeah, I want to look like that. And she just said, listen, this isn't that hard. Give it 30 days. Just try it. And I think she said something like, you can just go back to doing the same old shit you were doing if it doesn't work out. And so I did. I gave the zone a shot. You know what I mean? And and then that was the month that I realized, like, not only do I know the movements that are going to put me where I want to be, but now I understand that I have full control over what I put in my mouth is going to
Mhm.
change how I live and what I look like and how I perform. And I think that if people will give this a shot with me, and they are, like, by default, like, just the community itself, for instance, we have a lot of parties. We have one coming up this week. The last one that we had, I walked out to that grill and it was just covered in meat. Like, we had like a Greek style party and they were just cooking like turkey legs and chicken. Like
Yeah.
like they were like, we get it. It's MetFix style. Like, we're doing mostly meat. You know what I mean? And yeah, like, if you just creep in that direction, it'll catch on, just like
Yeah.
CrossFit did, you know?
And I'll just kind of wrap up that train of thought is, I spent this past weekend in Vail. Basically, it was like a 20-year reunion from a bunch of guys I was in the Army with. And we're all mid 40s, late 40s now. And the kind of last time we met up, we're in that age, that 20 years ago, we are burning it down, staying up all night so you could out drink who and the whole thing. And the majority of the conversations were all, what are you eating? how do you not feel like crap? What sauna, what cold plunge are you using? What's your fitness kind of thing like? So that's like a global shift in the demographic. They're not, they don't care about how much you lift and how fast your scores are. They want to know how they can feel better, how they can lower all those blood work and biomarkers, and they want to know how they can keep feeling good for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
And to do that, you kind of have to have, it may not be a different approach. It may be like a very targeted, specific approach in how you do
Yeah.
that.
I don't even know if they even know that that's what they want, but they do. So
Yeah.
like that question that Megan asked, her question of the week, or the question that came up at the foundations course at her gym, she asked, and I was sitting there with her when she asked this, and I was like, oh my God. She said, how old will you be in 20 years and what are your goals?
Yep.
And that question, like I said, some of the people at my gym are in their 80s. When you ask someone in their 80s about 20 years, that's like a little bit nervous asking them, but they were the most positive. I mean, the people that are showing up in that advanced age group for me, like they know what their goals are. My oldest guy that I had ever, I think he's 99 now. He's not coming anymore. I have invited him to my MetFix class and I would kill over if he came. But he came in because he had his wife was still alive and he wanted to be able to keep her at home and take over all of the duties that needed to be done at home. And those were his fitness goals. So that was really easy. Like it's so easy when that's your goal to make this make sense.
Yep.
So some of the ones that are the advanced age group, that was my favorite question to ask them because of their positivity and their understanding of I know exactly what I want to live 20 years, right? And the younger ones, they're pretty positive, but the people in my age group were like, ugh, you know? And it's like, listen, if you want the next 20 years to go well, we need to do some things,
Right.
right? So it's just opening that door for like,
Yep.
listen, I'm glad you thought about it. Instead of completely avoiding it, let's
Yep.
do the same thing with our habits and behaviors. Like instead of
Yeah.
ignoring it and hoping that things, keep getting better, more squats you do, let's make some changes and we can do them small and we can work
Yep.
into it. We'll do it together.
That's awesome. Melissa, that's great. I'm going to kind of put a pin in this conversation because I need to kind of do some little bit of homeworking or a little bit of admin stuff kind of here at the end. So we got Spark working group meets tomorrow for all the affiliates who want to join. You can still join the working group. And Monique just she didn't just send me this. She sent me this a couple days ago. But so real quick on Spark course that's out. If you don't know what that is, it's basically we developed a 4-week turnkey course for affiliates to be able to provide in their gyms. And the global launch happened a couple weeks ago, but there's a group of affiliates who decided they wanted to do this together. So together is whoever wants to join, that's a MetFix affiliate who has access to the course. We're launching on January 14th and we're having a working group meeting tomorrow. And here's kind of what that working group is going to look like. We're going to go through this and basically we're going to talk implementation, decide which intake track you'll be following. You're going to set dates for your meetings, decide how many participants you want, calculate how much time, money you're investing in putting on the project. And then from that, you're going to decide how much to charge, create your registration offering and your software link, get your email marketing ready to go, look at the Spark image for social media, discuss strategies for selling, marketing the program, and getting like just kind of some admin stuff together. So not only are we just putting that course out there, like a group of us will be actually navigating it all together. So just wanted to throw that out there for you guys, and I'll be sending an email out to all those that expressed interest in joining the work group, and that we'll meet up tomorrow. Then we'll take 2 weeks off for the holidays, and we'll get started back again. But Melissa, thank you for taking time to just kind of share your journey. I think there's a lot of stuff that
Thanks.
was I hope a lot of people steal from you. So,
Oh, I hope so. Thank you
um,
so much for having me.
and if I don't see you before then, you have a very, very Merry Christmas. Guys, take
you
care.
too.
Thanks for joining. And I think I'm going to do one more show next week, and then I'll take a week or two off for the holidays. But we'll see you then. Peace out, guys.